It has 71,414 miles. Key. And the ignition. And starting the Maserati in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. This is where we're at, folks. Maserati is down and dead. Well, obviously not dead, but you know, it's got power, but it's just dead. Radio works, you know, copyright music, but radio works. The headlights should work. Maybe not. Don't quite know on that. Radio works. The buttons here do work. If I press that, opens up my gas cap. But, you know, trunk works. Little backstory on this. I was at work on Monday. I went to lunch. And I ordered online. And pulled up, shut the car off, walked in, got my food, came back to my car. I wouldn't even say 2 minutes. I literally walked in, got it, and came back. And then got in my car, went to crank over to go to work, and it cranked for, I'd say about, you know, a crank, maybe 2 max, and then stopped. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I didn't, you know, I didn't hold it long enough. And then let the key off, went to crank again, nothing. So what you see is how it is. The screen here lights up, tells you your mileage, tells you if the park brake is on or off, and I know when I hit the e-brake, so I know it works because sometimes it says it's on and sometimes it's off. And every now and then over here on the RPM side, it would pop up, you know, brake or some other light, so I don't want to do that. So yeah, it broke down at me at a Chipotle, and I spent 6 hours at this Chipotle. I had co-workers bring me tools. It had battery power. We hooked up a jump pack to it to make sure that it would actually jump or start. Maybe, you know, maybe it had a low battery. Maybe it was dying. I tested the battery. It gave me, out of 2 tests, one at 12.1 volts and one at 12 volts. The battery doesn't seem like the issue. It's an old battery, so I'm just going to replace it anyway to make sure that's not the problem. And I checked every single fuse in this car, from the trunk to the one underneath the steering wheel to the one in the engine compartment. Pulled every fuse and every relay perfectly fine. Now you might be thinking, 6 hours at Chipotle just to check all that seems a little excessive, and it is. But what took so long is I called AAA and towed it, but I couldn't get the car into neutral. You know, usually you can put the key in, turn the power on, pull the shift lever into neutral. Well, it's basically like a dead battery. You can't do it. In fact, my key from the beginning of the video is still in here. There's a little button behind it that I can stick a little pen in to unlock it. So I will be doing that. But in the manual on page 132 tells you how you could put your Maserati Granturismo into neutral in the event of a dead battery. However, it says underneath this little tray here, which is right there, there is a little hole, and word for word, use a small tool, push on the gear shift lever locking mechanism through the hole. Probably about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, while we were waiting for go jacks to lift the rear tires up to get it on so we didn't have to drag them. Me nor could the tow truck driver do it. It doesn't do anything. I couldn't get it to do it. I even popped the shift boot to get access to it, to one, see where the lock mechanism was, and two, to see if there's another way I can do it. And I physically could not do it, nor could the tow truck driver. And when we were out there messing with it, the page for it ripped out. So, I mean, I'm obviously going to keep it, put it back in the book, but you know, page ripped out. Ultimately, you know, it's not the end of the world. I do have other cars I can drive. It's just slightly infuriating because I was planning on taking it to a local car show that's every year in my hometown. It's a really fun car show to go to, and I was going to take this car last year, but couldn't because it got stormed out. And then as we're approaching this one this year, it went down. Gonna run a couple more tests on it to verify that the problem is indeed my ignition switch, which all signs point to, yes, it is the ignition switch. The only thing that sucks about it is I'm pretty positive if I replace that, I have to get my key coded to it. I got to figure that out because when I looked up an ignition switch, it was like $300 off eBay, but it came with just the metal key, not the fob part. So I'd either have to transfer that key over to my current key or have my key coded to the new ignition switch. And to get it coded to the car, with the owner's manual, there's supposed to be a little key card that has numbers on it for it to be coded to your car. Mine doesn't have that. So I'm gonna have to probably contact the dealer with the last 6 digits of my VIN or the VIN in general and see if they can give me one or tell me what the numbers are to get it coded. But since this happened about, I don't know, actually about a week and a half ago now at this point, it's just been sitting here, minding its own business. Wants to leave, garage is closed, but it can't. But I just left the battery disconnected. It's plugged in now, the lights are on, but it's actually really easy to disconnect. So I don't know if this is factory or someone did this, but it's just a little lever here. Just pull that, loosen the negative terminal, and just lifts right up. I will be posting an update video when I'm putting the ignition switch in the Maserati, only if a new battery doesn't fix my problem. But enough with this. I do have a surprise for you guys though. Now the surprise you guys have been waiting for is the Stealth. And it's way more put together than the last time you guys saw this. The engine is pretty much almost done. I'm working on the intercooler system. I do have a pulley or two left to put on the engine and then the belts. But I do have to do some custom fabrication on the intercooler itself. The intercooler system itself, the pipe that runs back here is for the stock turbos. So this one didn't work, so I had to buy a 90-degree elbow and cut it to length and get it to fit. Just waiting on a new coupler for it. A little bit of the routing down here. It's kind of a tight fit. I'm probably gonna have to make some brackets for the oil cooler itself. It's just a little bit too high for the actual piping for the intercooler. So I'm gonna have to lower that and make it work. But it's so close to hopefully trying to get it started. I have lower radiator bushings coming. There's the stock ones are missing. And then I'm gonna have to route the intercoolers on the piping on this up to run across here and then down to the intercooler this way, then right up to the intake. But so close on this one, and I can't wait to fire this up for you guys. We do have a new car coming to the channel very, very, very soon, and I'm gonna make videos on it. It doesn't run, doesn't mean it won't run. It just needs a tune-up. It hasn't ran in years. It's a very, very, very old car. It's the only thing I'm gonna tell you about it until I post a video on it. To put into words how old it is, we have a 64 Corvair and a 1947 Ford. It's older than both those. All I'm gonna say. And it's very cool, and I'm excited to make videos on it. But just like that, I think today's video is over.